Hello guys, in this video I'm going to go through some more budgeting tips which will help you guys save so much more money. So let's get started. So the first tip is to shop around when it comes to your groceries. If you watch my grocery hauls, you guys would have seen that in my most recent video, I compared pricing from Coles and Woolies in comparison to my local fruit and veg shop. In that particular shop, I found items that were like a third of the price compared to Coles and Woolies. Now, just keep in mind, fruit and veg shops aren't always cheaper, so you need to know your prices. That's probably my second tip. There's no particular shop that sells one thing more cheap. You need to know your prices and shop around. An example would be I bought eggplants for $1.99 a kilo at the markets when Coles and Woolies are selling them for $6 a kilo when they are on special. Also, another thing I wanted to mention is if you're looking for new furniture, clothing, or whatever it is, if you need to replace an item, you don't always need to buy it brand new. You can consider thrifting as well. I haven't done much thrifting myself, but I have seen a lot of people say there's quite a few good buys when you're going thrifting. I've heard of some people purchasing items brand new with the tag still on. So check out your local salvos or any thrift shop you have around near you as well, because you might be saving a lot via going that route. Speaking of shopping around, you might want to consider shopping around for your phone and internet bills, even your car insurance and landlord insurance. You would be surprised how much you save just by shopping around. You can do a quick Google search and do some comparisons. For example, my landlord insurance, I think I spent 15 minutes searching quotes and I saved over $400. And same with my car insurance. I think I saved about $100 with like 10 minutes worth of research. So if you want to cut costs, shop around for your phone bills, internet bills, car insurance, landlord insurance, home insurance, all insurances basically. Another tip you may want to consider after you've done your due diligence and assessed everything is consider financing your home loan with a lender or bank or credit union that offers a better interest rate for yourself. And I know some banks do have cashbacks. I think the big four last year, I saw they had cashbacks. If you refinanced your home loan, you get like a $2,000 or $2,500 cashback. Just bear in mind, this isn't always a special. They do pop up every now and then. So just make sure you do your research and make sure that refinancing is a viable option for you as well. Also, guys, just a quick note, I give myself $100 each week to spend on the weekend, so that covers food and fun money like going out or whatnot. And I've introduced this little savings challenge where I take, well, in this particular week, I take $30 out from the $100, so my fun money actually comes down to $70. So it's like a little challenge I've set myself. Now, even though I've labeled it fun money, it does cover my food for the weekend as well. I've labeled it fun money because I often cook more nicer meals on the weekend. I just have more time, and yeah, that's why it's part of fun money for the weekend. Also, guys, just a quick reminder that I'm not licensed to provide any financial advice. My videos are made for entertainment purposes only, so please speak to a professional before you make any changes towards your finances. The next thing I wanted to discuss is in relation to balancing paying off debt and saving money, because I find a lot of households are juggling that. Now, one thing I did want to point out is, for example, a credit card has like a 20% interest rate. So if you're making a late repayment, you've got to pay 20% extra of whatever you used on that credit card. So in an instance like that, I personally would much prefer paying off my credit card first over savings, because if I'm late on my credit card, I've got to pay 20% interest on the funds that I've used on that card. Whereas if I just leave my money in my bank account, at the moment, the best interest rate that the banks are giving me is 5% on my savings. So it actually makes more sense for me to pay off my debts rather than prioritizing savings in that particular scenario. Hopefully that makes sense. Just bear in mind, these are my personal opinions on my own circumstances only. And I also wanted to mention, I personally like to log into my bank account quite regularly, probably every second day or so, just to check to make sure my budget is on track as my number one priority. And number two is to check to make sure there aren't any unauthorized transactions on my bank account. So it's pretty much a win-win to check your bank account quite regularly. And another thing I wanted to mention is if you're really tight on your budget, you might want to consider selling your car, because if you're living in an area that's got a lot of public transport, for example, trains, light rails, and buses, you might not necessarily need your car, because you need to remember to have a car, to maintain the car. You've got to pay for fuel, you've got to pay for servicing, you've got to pay for maintenancing, car insurance, comprehensive insurance, third-party insurance. These are all additional expenses that you need to pay just to keep the car not even operating. You've got to pay for fuel for the car to operate, and servicing and maintenancing as well. So if you're on a really tight budget and you're living in an area that has a lot of public transport, you might want to consider maybe selling the car. Because once you've sold that car, you've already saved on expenses. For example, rego, that's every year, insurances, and so many more expenses. Now, if you don't want to sell your car, another way to cut costs is obviously shop around for your car insurances and comprehensive and third-party insurances, just to make sure you're getting the best deal. And you can even shop around for fuel. Now, there's plenty of fuel apps like Fuel New South Wales, I believe. You can check the best prices in your area, or even 7-Eleven, where it allows you to lock in the best fuel price in your area, and you can lock it in for 7 days. So that's another option as well to save more money. Now we know energy prices are quite expensive at the moment. So another tip I wanted to point out is obviously turn the lights off if you're not in the room. If you don't need it, turn the lights off. But I've also seen some other YouTubers in America recommend turning the plug off at the power point and unplugging appliances that you don't use, because apparently that saves energy as well. I think I watched a video, I don't remember who it was, but they said even if the power's off and your appliance is plugged in, apparently it still draws a small amount of electricity. So that might help you guys save money if you just turn it off at the power point, unplug it, and that's pretty much it. I've even seen people buy rechargeable or solar powered lights to save on their energy bill as well, if you want to consider that. Also, I just wanted to mention, guys, if you're seeing me take money out from an envelope and not putting money in, it's probably because I've spent money and charged it on my card instead of using cash. For example, this anniversary envelope, I actually include anniversary and Valentine's Day. So on Valentine's Day, I spent $150, so I'm taking that off the deduction. I spent it on a little gift for my partner and some chocolates, and dinner he covered, so I didn't have to do that. So if you're running really tight on your budget, you might want to consider doing a no buy challenge. So you could do that for a week, a month, a year, however you like. Now, a no buy challenge doesn't mean you don't buy anything at all. I'll give you an example of, I think 2 years ago, I did a no buy year for clothing in particular, because I know at home I have so much clothing. There's absolutely no reason why I need to buy new clothing. That's why I wanted to do the no buy year challenge, but I targeted the category of clothing in particular. So for you, you might want to do a no buy month for groceries. That could mean you're only buying the absolute necessary things to cook your meals, and you might spend a month of not buying any snacks at all, because if you think about it, it's not an absolutely necessary expense, it's actually a treat. So you can do these no buy year challenges however you like, whatever's suitable for your family. Linking onto that point, I also wanted to mention you guys can even do a pantry challenge where you try and cook from ingredients that you already have at home. I personally do that once a week, a few times a month. That way I can actually utilize old things in my stockpile, because I need to rotate items in my stockpile anyways, and it makes me use up all of the ingredients that I buy throughout the week, so there's no food wastage from like fresh veggies that are sitting in the fridge as well. And it pushes me to make creative meals so I can create content for you guys as well. Food wastage is the most common expense that pretty much every household has, and everybody can save money on reducing their food wastage. So that's one straight up easy way for you guys to cut back on expenses. And my best tip for you guys is to automate your savings. So every time you get paid, dedicate a certain amount that gets deducted straight from your pay and going into a separate savings account, whether it's like a percentage of your salary or even like something as little as $10, because I guarantee you, if it's out of sight, it's out of mind. You won't even think about spending it, and that will rack up very quickly. I know a lot of you guys are running on a tight budget already because of inflation and whatnot, but I guarantee you, if you automate your savings, you will find a way to save, because humans naturally don't work as hard or think as hard on what to cut back on unless they are forced to. So if that money is already taken out and gone into a separate account, you're forced to just work with whatever funds you have available in your account. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you found it helpful.